What's going on, guys? Oh my, Godzilla back here with a very exciting Godzilla figure review, guys. Today we're taking a look at, from Bandai in the Movie Monsters series, Godzilla and Anguirus 1955. This is a great set, really cool figures, both new molds. Very excited to take a look at these guys. Let's jump right in.
Oh my god!
Alrighty, guys, we are back here with our Movie Monsters series, Godzilla and Anguirus 1955. These are both new molds, guys, so very exciting to take a peek at those, starting with tags of Godzilla first. And it's actually really cool. We have something we don't really have very often, is we actually have two monsters on the tag. So we do have Godzilla tussling with Anguirus there. A pretty good, high-quality looking image, actually. And then we do have Godzilla 1955. Pop this guy open. Got a great silhouette, Godzilla 1955. All the goodies, Bandai, Movie Monster series, Godzilla 1955. And then we do have those classic 55 spines for Godzilla. Moving into Anguirus. Tag is going to look like so. Great picture of Anguirus taking on a building, 1955. Anguirus 1955. The 2023 logo is displayed, obviously. Great silhouette again. Checking out the back, we do have the back kind of made to look like the back of Anguirus' spines, and then I assume it says, actually, it says Godzilla 1955 again. I guess it just says Godzilla 1955. And then Movie Monster series and Bandai, all that goodies. Let's sleeve both these things. Alrighty, we got both those sleeved up. Let's go ahead and jump into the figures. We are going to go ahead and start with Godzilla. This is a great look at Godzilla overall. I think they did a great job capturing that 55 energy. Starting with the bottom, we do have some good detail textures on the feet. White, or kind of a lighter gray painted on the toe claws. Looks pretty good there. And we even have a little bit of detail. You can see kind of, kind of just lining of the toe claws. So that looks great. And all of them are painted pretty well. Moving up the legs, we do have kind of those nice rolls. Looks good there. The big bulky kneecaps, which are also have a little hint of that lighter gray paint to them, just mixing up the color palette a little bit there on Godzilla. Moving up the body, we do look pretty good. Again, more kind of a light gray paint there. Good looking 55 face. I think they captured the 55 vibes pretty darn well. I love how we actually have a, I feel like it's rare these days to get Bandai Godzilla figures with a closed mouth, so that's kind of cool. We do have a little bit of teeth lining detail work in there, and then he's got those fun little fangs that I've always actually loved. Good look at the eyes. The eyes look pretty good. He looks very good from the front. A lot of times some of these figures look goofy from the front. Did a great job of keeping this guy pretty darn legit. Good rolls kind of moving down the neck. The spines are going to be painted pretty well, actually. I like how they introduced the gray kind of toward the top. And he does have kind of an individual patch there, and then they kind of bring it back as it goes down the spines. Pretty good detail throughout the spines. I like the sculpt of them. Spines are going to cut off a little bit there, but they do continue that light gray paint, about halfway down the tail. And they bail on the paint, of course, for the full, the full tail, as they like to do. But, and then we move into the hands, guys. The hand claws are not quite painted as accurately as the toe claws. They're not bad, but they are painted just a little sloppier. They kind of got more of the finger in there than they probably should have. Little bit of texture detail on the inside of the arm and the inside of the hand there. So it's always nice to get some of that, guys. In terms of articulation, very easy 360 on those arms. Pretty darn easy 360 on the leg, too. I wouldn't do it too much because we do get a little bit of rubbing back there, so I wouldn't, over-articulate the figure. The tail is going to be locked in place, and then we also do not have any seam on the neck. So just the arms and legs are going to be our points of articulation on the big man himself. Looks pretty darn good. In terms of sizing this guy up, or just kind of comparing him to his other counterparts, the two figures that come to mind are the Toy Dream Project and the Memorial Box. So I'm 100% positive that the Memorial Box and the Toy Dream Project are just, the Toy Dream Project is just a resculpt of the Memorial Box figure. So just for sense of kind of keeping the color palette more similar, we'll compare these two. But I will show you a quick peek at this guy's tag. So I like how they switched up the tag image, didn't reuse this guy. And then, of course, those Toy Dream Project tags are always just a lot of fun. But comparing the Memorial Box 55 to the brand new Movie Monster Series 55, we do have some differences we can point out here. Definitely some similarities also, but they're not quite the same sculpt. First of all, little difference in height. Obviously, this guy's spines sink way lower. They kind of fall down on the suit a little bit like that. Leg sculpts are going to be fairly similar, but different enough. Like his calf sticks out a lot more, is a lot more pronounced there. The hands are noticeably different on the two figures. It does look like we have a very similar chest, kind of in terms of the way this kind of zigs and zags there. So the chest kind of might be a very similar sculpt. The face definitely looks a little different. We have the cheeks on the Memorial Box are definitely a little more puffed out. I think the teeth are a little sharper there. The mouth is actually, more of the teeth are exposed on the new Movie Monster series. And then on the back of the head, kind of sloping down, also looks a little bit different. We do, and then, notice the second spine, different shape. So they definitely, I think, I don't know if I'd even say a full resculpt, but maybe a repurposing type of thing. But I mean, it is technically, I guess, a resculpt because it's definitely not the same figure. So I'm definitely glad. I was assuming we were pretty much going to just get a verbatim resculpt. So I'm glad that they changed it up a little bit. I like how the spines are a little higher. I think that looks a little nicer. Mouth looks a little, this one looks like a little cheesy, too much of a cheesy grin over here in the memorial box. So I think they improved the mouth a little bit there. So I think I'm definitely glad that they gave us a new sculpt on the 55 Godzilla. Let's jump into our Anguirus. Alrighty, so taking a look at our Anguirus. First thing I want to say is this figure is way bigger than I thought it would be. Just in terms, it's longer than I thought it would be. It's wider than I thought it would be. It's just a pretty substantial size figure. We'll take a better look at that when we bust out a couple other Anguiruses to compare him to. But so that's a very cool thing. I love I love how big this guy was. I was so shocked when I unboxed him. Pretty much going to be the black and white color scheme that we saw in Godzilla, except for the inside of the mouth is going to be painted, kind of a maroonish, a little bit of detail up in there. It is interesting how they decided to do the mouth colored, because I thought they were kind of doing both these figures black and white because the movie was in black and white. But no, they gave us a little bit of color, which I actually appreciate. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And in terms of detail, guys, my goodness, this figure's detail is just amazing. Starting kind of with the hand claws painted pretty darn well. Look at that, there's even texture and detail on the bottoms of the hands. How about the bottoms of the feet? Not too much, but there's a little bit. It's not straight flat, but a little bit of detail even there. But this, he almost has like human-esque, hand markings. That's crazy. The scales are just super pronounced and look really nice. Moving up the whole, both the front and back legs. Back toe claws are painted really well too. They did not paint the bottom. Didn't really paint the inside of the hand here either, but I'll forgive that just because the detail's so great. I think they just did an amazing job with all these scales, the whole, the arms, the legs, the body, they even kind of have, a different pattern on the chest, but these scales just look so darn nice. Really did a great job on the basic overall scales. The body of, Anguirus' kind of spiky shell looks great as well. It's a pretty darn pokey, it's not super sharp, but it's nice. It's got some decent base to it. They kind of give us a little bit of this white paint around the rim there, and that kind of follows along the whole back of the figure. Taking a look at this side, so they kind of painted that outside layer of spines. So just great detail on all of that part of the body. Top of the neck looks great. Into the face, it looks pretty darn nice, except for, if you're looking at him from that angle, he's definitely pretty darn goofy. But the detail is pretty nice. We got good texture and detail on just kind of on the rest of the face. The eyes look good, really well painted accurately eyes. Top horn looks good, painted well. His kind of crown spikes are painted really well. It just looks great. And then these teeth are insane. They're not individually sculpted, but the paintwork and the detail on the sculpt is just awesome. That you do have individual tips. So that's super cool. I really appreciate what they did with this guy's teeth. It just looks gorgeous. A little bit of texture on the bottom of the mouth, so that tongue in there. So that's appreciative as well. I love all of his little spikes on the back of his tail coming in. Those look great. I love how they, obviously they changed out the texture. They have he's got his scales, and then they got just kind of the regular little flatter texture for the spine, for the spikes that are kind of spread out throughout his tail. But I think it looks great. This figure's detail is just amazing. Really, really good. Some of Bandai's best work, I think, in a while. Really just great detail. I'm loving just between the scales and the face and the teeth. My goodness, I love these tail spikes. They're really fun. Just some amazing detail on this guy. In terms of articulation on him, the head is obviously going to be fixed. These front arms do rotate 360 because they kind of rotate pretty tightly. Back legs, let's see if we can. You can get the 360. You got to kind of squeak it past the arm, which I don't like doing. But you can get 360 out of both. And then the tail also will rotate 360 at where it connects to the base. That is going to be the only point of articulation on the tail. None of these other segments are really articulate. But the tail does get an easy 360. So, 5 points of articulation on the Anguirus, 2 on the arms, 2 on the legs, and that tail. And he can kind of pose kind of interesting. You can kind of mess with his pose. You can get an arm off the ground. He can kind of balance on those 3 points of contact, so that's kind of fun if you kind of want him in like a, you know, in a moving position. I don't even know how to get his leg to go back on the ground if I wanted to. Hello. There he goes. So, just an amazing detailed art Anguirus. And I really also, one more thing about the hands that I love is, you know, they're not just, we'll see it on the other figure when I busted them out, but all the other ones just kind of have the flat form. They just, this guy's really kind of got some grippy hands. And I really just love what they did with him. It just looks great. So we can kind of see what I'm talking about when I said I was surprised how big this figure was. Obviously, right off the bat, when we first started seeing the promo images, we could tell that this was definitely a new sculpt. But I didn't think it'd be so big. I thought it would still be pretty similar size to, this is the Toy Dream Project version, which is just a resculpt of the memorial box and whatnot. But, so just much bigger. You know, he's taller, he stands taller, he's longer, you know, by a significant margin. And he's just a much bigger figure, and like I said, kind of here's what I was talking about with the flat 4, kind of just his hands, whereas this guy's got the really grippy hands, and the, you know, the Memorial Box Toy Dream Project Anguirus' back legs just go straight back right along his tail. This guy's kind of got more of a sprawled out stance. So I really love what they did with the sculpt and whatnot on this figure. It is very awesome. So there's that comparison. I got one more Anguirus we're going to compare him to. And that's the Final Wars 2005 Movie Monster Series figure. Just wanted to kind of just show you that, again, this new figure is much bigger than just we've kind of been seeing on our Anguirus kind of typically. So definitely glad they gave us some pretty substantial size. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so there we have it. This has been our Bandai Movie Monster Series 2023 Godzilla and Anguirus 1955. These two figures are great. I can't wait for the repaints. They're doing repaints of these figures to mimic the Toy Dream Project figures. So Godzilla is going to be kind of white and blue, and Anguirus is going to kind of be that red and tan and goldish tan color. So really looking forward to seeing those repaints later in 2024. But guys, let me know your thoughts on these two figures in the comment section below. Do you have them? Did you pick them up? What are your thoughts? Or are you passing? If so, why? I definitely always love hearing what you guys think about the figures we're talking about. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. We'll see you in the next one.